What is a perfect movie? Some say it's a movie that fits your current mood. Some say it's one with no logical mistakes. Some say it's when everything from acting, directing, writing, cinematography, and the overall production come together as one impactful movie. To some, it might be a movie that's iconic. Maybe, just maybe, it doesn't really exist. The exact definition and that standard I'd leave to a better film-trained eye, like my friend Dan over at Eyebrow Cinema. For me, a good example of perfection that hits just about every mark is Galaxy Quest. 1999's Galaxy Quest is about as close to a perfect movie as one can get, with a layered, highly talented cast, plentiful laughs throughout, and a heartfelt story. Galaxy Quest is a science fiction comedy that follows the cast of a 1980s sci-fi show in the same vein as Star Trek, who get mixed up in an interstellar conflict with aliens who believe the cult classic TV show is an accurate documentary. Tim Allen stars as Jason Nesmith, aka Commander Peter Quincy Taggart. Nesmith is an attention-seeking burnout who is soaking up the limelight of the once great series. Along the way is his growing resentful castmates, Gwen DeMarco, played by Sigourney Weaver, Alexander Dane, played by Alan Rickman, Fred Kwan, played by Tony Shalhoub, and Tommy Weber, played by Daryl Mitchell. Jason is approached by Thermians, a group of aliens who have come for the Protector's crew to help in delegation with the evil warlord Ceres. Nesmith, thinking it is some sort of silly fan project, comes along before realizing he is now mixed into a large conflict. Nesmith, with the help of his reluctant crew, do their best interpretations of their characters, whilst also finding their inner hero to save the Thermians from mass extinction. Galaxy Quest writer David Howard got the idea from watching an IMAX presentation trailer for the film Americans in Space, narrated by Leonard Nimoy. This got Howard into thinking about how the Trek actors got pigeonholed into these roles since Trek was cancelled, and eventually spawned the idea of bringing aliens along. Producer Mark Johnson was not a fan of the original idea, but was keen on the idea of aliens misconstruing episodes of television for reality. A lot of hesitancy built around Galaxy Quest, with the quoted suspicion of could be a great idea or could be a terrible one. Confidence had grown around the script after David Howard had nailed Nesmith's confession to Thermians.
God, I am so sorry.
The idea was immediately greenlit in 1998, with Mark Johnson favoring Dean Parisot to direct. Parisot was hot off the unusual Home Fries movie. Parisot has since directed movies like Red 2 and the recently released Bill and Ted Face the Music. DreamWorks, the studio behind Galaxy Quest, was not fond of the idea and instead pushed for the highly talented Harold Ramis to direct. Ramis was keen on Alec Baldwin, who had turned down the role. Steve Martin and Kevin Kline were also considered for the role of Jason Nesmith, but both turned it down. Harold Ramis was not a fan of Tim Allen's casting and ultimately left the project in early 1999. Tim Allen said the original pitch to him by Harold Ramis was closer to Spaceballs. Sigourney Weaver loved her first read of the script, stating it felt like a Wizard of Oz story where these people feel incomplete in the beginning and by the end are the heroes they pretended to be in the first place. Production design was based heavily on not only Star Trek, but Battlestar Galactica, Lost in Space, and Buck Rogers. Majority of the film was shot in studios in Los Angeles. The film's visual effects were done by Industrial Light and Magic. By today's standards, the visual effects in the film excel. The moment the crew sees the real-life Protector is filmed well, bolstered by visuals that stand up to the best of today.
Oh my God.
The film was considered a box office success, opening with $7 million opening weekend, and going on to finish with over $71 million total. The film would get generally favorable reviews, with a solid 90% Rotten Tomatoes score, with reviews praising the intelligent and humorous satire with an excellent cast.
Galaxy Quest is goofy and funny, especially when the actors revive old showbiz feuds right there in the middle of this real space adventure. And the Earth scenes reminded me of Trekkies, the documentary about Star Trek fanatics. So thumbs up from me.
The movie would go on to be beloved by a good portion of the Star Trek cast, including Patrick Stewart, Tim Russ, and even Bill Shatner. At the 2013 Star Trek convention in Las Vegas, Galaxy Quest was included in the Star Trek film rankings, placing 7th out of the 12 included movies. Galaxy Quest is one of my favorite movies ever.
Hey, don't open that! It's an alien planet! Is there air? You don't know!
I've mentioned before how every now and then you get a movie that is a lightning in a bottle project. Films by nature are incredibly difficult to make, oftentimes going through casting issues, over budget, too long of production, or just general studio issues. Galaxy Quest seemingly went through all of it, whilst also having one of the most impressive cast lists in some time. Which, speaking of cast list, this cast is loaded. And even after naming somebody, I managed to find another new cast member. Somehow, it all works, and it has a lot to do with where the film's focus is in the script, finding the heart in a sci-fi show like Star Trek. Star Trek has a lot of themes and motifs it deals with, but most importantly might be the idea behind hope. Our hope with ourselves, the hope of the future, the hope of progress. Galaxy Quest seemingly nails this idea, in particular with the Thermians, a race near the brink of extinction who put their entire hope on a supposed documentary series.
You know us?
No. I don't believe there is a man, woman, or child on my planet who does not.
The thought is so damn endearing that the previously mentioned scene where Nesmith has to break it to the Thermians' leader, Malthazar, that it's all fake is so heartbreaking.
It's difficult to explain.
Even still, in typical Trek fashion, we all want to believe we have some sort of hero in ourselves, and Galaxy Quest manages to pull that out from a crew of has-beens. While Galaxy Quest shines with its big heart, one can't forget about the comedy. Galaxy Quest is truly one of those movies you can watch 100 times and find a different joke.
Go for the eyes like in episode 22!
It doesn't have any eyes, Tommy!
A different meaning or a different appreciation for something in the comedy.
Surely you don't think that Gilligan's Island is a...
Those poor people.
As fandom has grown thanks to the growth in social media, the movie's statements towards toxic fandom become more and more true.
Oh, and his friends? I know, they can't stand him. Did you hear him ragging on him in there? Dude, he has no idea. He's a laughingstock, even to his buddies.
The way it wears on the cast, specifically classically trained Alexander Dane, played by Rickman, is just great.
You stole all my best lines. You cut me out of episode 2 entirely.
Alan Rickman, in a lot of ways, is just playing himself.
I did grow up, as it were, inside the Royal Shakespeare Company and other similar environments.
I played Richard III.
So I know what he's going through.
An English actor who has done a lot of great work, but is seemingly remembered for something he doesn't necessarily want to be remembered for. His character reminds me a lot of Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Kirk Lazarus, from Tropic Thunder.
Man, I don't drop character till I've done the DVD commentary.
But in usual fashion, the script is clever in a way that not only makes you feel for Dane's character,
One more time. I can't, I won't.
find laughter in his semi-misery, but ultimately appreciate his arc when he stands up for the cause.
They saved us!
Tim Allen at this point had been red hot. He had Home Improvement, Santa Claus, Toy Story, and now this. Ironically, his character in this movie is a straight man throughout. Allen makes for a convincing action hero. Perhaps the biggest surprise to the movie, one that gets funnier each time, is the scene stealing from Tony Shalhoub and Sam Rockwell.
I know! You construct a weapon. Look around you. Can you form some sort of rudimentary lathe?
Shalhoub's Fred is just immensely weird, always finding the opposite reaction in each scene. Rockwell feels like all of us if we were mixed up in some alien conflict, as he plays, well, Guy. Guy is by far the funniest character from Rockwell's insane reactions.
You guys came. Who wants the grand tour?
hilarious lines of dialogue, and his pathetic, overbearing fear.
And it kills me, but now I'm thinking I'm the guy who gets killed by some monster 5 minutes after we land on the planet.
You're not gonna die on the planet, guy.
I'm not?
If Galaxy Quest had a weakness, a spot that kept it from being that perfect movie, it's the film's villain, Ceres. Galaxy Quest runs at a super efficient 102 minutes, and that one part of the movie that suffers is, well, Ceres. He's an intimidating villain, thanks in part to the wonderful character effects. But beyond that, his motives are just look gross and kill the Thermians. The script already had so many moving parts, from the cast of Galaxy Quest to the Thermians themselves. It would have been difficult to really give the character any more motive. Ceres is ultimately there to drive the Thermians to Earth and the building of the Protector. But as an actual force in the movie, he leaves a bit to be desired. Ultimately, Galaxy Quest is just a darn good movie. Is it a perfect movie? Well, no. But I sit comfy on the pedestal that no movie is. The visuals look incredible 23 years later. The score is epic, the cast is charming, and the heart is right where it should be. It was revealed in 2021 that a television series was being developed. Alan did state earlier in 2021 that a film sequel script had been written with massive overhauls after the unfortunate passing of Alan Rickman. Since then, everything has been kinda quiet. Like previously said, Galaxy Quest feels like such a lightning in a bottle movie. I feel trying to recapture that essence would end in a failure that might tarnish the film's strength and overall legacy. It just really isn't necessary. As a secondary recommendation, please check out the Never Surrender documentary that was released in 2019. It's an in-detail documentary that went over the film's production that also has interviews from the cast and crew. It's an exceptional documentary that further builds the character and legacy of Galaxy Quest. If you're interested in another recommendation, check out this review here, and I'll see you tots on the next one.